Let's start with a really weird question. Are you real? It's one of the most mind-blowing questions you can ask, and it's jumped straight out of science fiction and into the middle of serious debates among scientists and philosophers.
No, I'm serious. Just think about it for a second. What if your fondest memories, the warmth of the sun on your skin, the very universe itself, what if it isn't made of particles and atoms, but of pure information? What if we're all living inside an unbelievably sophisticated computer program?
So, this wild idea has a name, simulation theory. The basic gist is that our world isn't base reality. Instead, it's a constructed one, and we're basically characters inside of it. It is a staggering thought for sure, but where did an idea this crazy even come from?
Well, you might be surprised to hear that this super modern, techie-sounding idea actually has incredibly ancient roots. Doubting whether our senses are telling us the truth is one of the oldest philosophical games in the book. I mean, check this out. You have two of the biggest thinkers in history, separated by almost 2,000 years, and they were both haunted by the exact same idea. You got Plato and his famous allegory of the cave, where prisoners spend their whole lives thinking shadows on a wall are real. Then, way later, you have René Descartes, terrified that some evil demon might be feeding him a total illusion of a world. They're both asking the same question: can we trust what we see? And this was Descartes' genius way out of that spiral of doubt. He figured, hey, even if a demon is tricking me about everything, the fact that I'm here thinking about being tricked proves that I, the thinker, have to exist in some way. It was the one solid thing he could hold on to.
Okay, so let's fast forward to our time, the 21st century, because this is where the argument gets a massive upgrade. We're moving away from demons and into probability and cold, hard logic.
So in a paper that totally shook things up, a philosopher named Nick Bostrom laid out what's called the simulation argument. It's a trilemma, which means it presents three possibilities. Now, he wasn't saying we are in a simulation, but that if you think logically about the future, you end up in a very strange place. So here's how it breaks down. One of these three things is almost certainly true. Option 1, civilizations like ours always destroy themselves before they get advanced enough to run perfect ancestor simulations. Option 2, they get that advanced, but they're just not interested. Maybe they find it boring or unethical, who knows. Or option 3, they do survive and they are interested and they end up running billions upon billions of these simulations. Now, if that third one is true, then for every one base reality, there are countless simulated ones. Just by pure numbers, the odds are overwhelmingly against us being the original.
And this quote from Bostrom just hammers home the insane scale of this idea. If that third option is the right one, then our whole universe, every star, every galaxy, is just a tiny program running on a hard drive somewhere, just a sliver of what's really out there.
Okay, so the philosophical argument is a real head-scratcher. But what really gives this theory its bite are some weird clues from our own technology and, even stranger, from the basic laws of physics.
This is the video game argument, and you've probably heard someone like Elon Musk talk about it. Just think about it. We went from Pong, two little lines and a dot, to photorealistic virtual reality in one person's lifetime. Now project that rate of improvement out 1,000 years, or 1,000,000. Creating a simulated world that's indistinguishable from the real thing doesn't just seem possible, it seems almost inevitable.
Now this is where things get really spooky. In video games, to save computer power, the system only renders the part of the world the player is actually looking at. It's a programming trick. Now, look at our universe. On the tiniest quantum level, particles seem to exist in a blurry cloud of possibility until we measure them. The moment we observe them, they snap into a definite state. So is that a deep law of physics, or is that just the universe's processors saving resources by not rendering stuff no one is looking at?
Let's run with that digital analogy. If you keep zooming in on a digital photo, you eventually hit the pixels, right? You can't go any smaller. Does reality work like that? Is there a zoom limit to the universe?
It kind of looks like it. This number is the Planck length, and it's the smallest possible unit of distance that makes any sense in physics. It is theoretically impossible to measure anything smaller. A continuous analog universe shouldn't have a smallest piece, but a digital, pixelated one, it absolutely would. This could be the pixel of our reality.
And if that wasn't enough to make you scratch your head, some physicists think they've found literal computer code in the cosmos.
James Gates was digging into the equations of supersymmetry, the really deep stuff about how the universe works, and he found something that looks exactly like error-correcting code, the same kind of code that keeps your web browser from crashing. To find that woven into the fabric of reality itself is, what do you even do with that?
All right, let's pump the brakes a bit. Before we all start searching for the exit door to the Matrix, we have to talk about the fact that there are some huge, and I mean huge, problems with this whole theory.
First, just the computing power. To simulate an entire universe down to every single particle would require a computer so powerful it's basically unimaginable. Second, you gotta ask, why would they even bother? Would a super advanced civilization really be that interested in watching us sit in traffic? And finally, the theory just kicks the can down the road. If we're a simulation, who created the simulators? And who created their creators? It never ends.
And this brings us to the final and maybe the most important question. Let's just say it's true. So what? Should we do anything differently? Does anything we do actually have any meaning?
And the general feeling among philosophers seems to be, yes, of course it still matters. David Chalmers makes a great point. A simulated reality is still a real reality. The joy you feel with your friends, the love for your family, the pain of a loss, those experiences are real to you. It doesn't really matter if the hardware running it is carbon-based or silicon-based.
So let's just lay it all out. The traditional view says our origin is the Big Bang, we're made of atoms, death is the end, and we have to figure out our own purpose. The simulation view says our origin was some code being initialized, we're made of data, and death might just mean logging off. Our purpose? It might have been designed by someone or something else. So, at the end of the day, we're left with this question. Are we the originals, the ones living in base reality? Or are we one of who knows how many simulations, maybe running as a science experiment, or for entertainment, or for some reason we can't even begin to imagine?
The honest truth is, we don't have the answer. But, maybe the answer isn't the point. Maybe the most profound thing about us isn't what we're made of, but the fact that we can even ask a question like this. That consciousness, that curiosity, maybe that's the most real thing there is.